I never thought Instagram would teach me something this useful. It was supposed to be just memes, food pics, and late night distractions. Not the reason someone in my family is still alive. I always thought Instagram was useless. Noise. Memes, food pictures, influencers holding up skincare bottles, like they'd just discovered the cure for death. That was my feed in a nutshell. My personal ritual was scroll, laugh at a meme screenshot, a recipe I'd never actually cook, then get distracted by a reel of a dog wearing sunglasses, rinse, and repeat. It was background static for my brain. Something to do when I should have been folding laundry or answering emails. The kind of distraction you don't even admit out loud because it sounds too pathetic. What'd you do last night? Oh, nothing. Just sat in the dark scrolling until Instagram asked me if I was still watching. And honestly, I never thought I'd actually learn something that mattered. Instagram wasn't a classroom. It was the internet equivalent of background music at a grocery store. But then came that one random reel. It started with a guy standing in his kitchen, super casual, explaining the Heimlich maneuver. Not on a dummy. Not on fancy medical equipment, just pointing at his own stomach, like right here below the rib cage. This is where you press. He showed exactly where to put your hands, how to make a fist, how hard to push. He even demonstrated what to do if you're alone leaning over a chair and basically body slamming yourself. I remember thinking, okay, weirdly useful, but when am I ever gonna need that? I didn't save it, didn't even like it. I just watched, nodded to myself like I'd filed it away and scrolled on to a cat falling off a shelf. And honestly, within a day or two, the memory faded into that same dusty corner of my brain where old Wi-Fi passwords live. Life went on. Weeks passed, normal, everyday stuff. Work, family dinners, random errands. My cousin popped over a few times. She's the type who treats my house like her second living room. She has this energy that's equal parts hilarious and exhausting. Like she'll come in, complaining about her day, and end up making everyone laugh anyway. My aunt, on the other hand, is the opposite. Dramatic, overprotective, and somehow always convinced we're on the brink of disaster. She's the type who'll text you, call me now, and when you panic, all it's. Just because she forgot the name of that one restaurant you went to last year, everything felt ordinary. Predictable. No emergencies, no surprises, just the usual family chaos. And my same old scrolling habit where the most exciting thing I learned was a 10-second recipe for feta pasta. I knew deep down I'd never try what I didn't realize was that Instagram reel. The one I didn't even save was sitting in my brain, quietly waiting for its moment. Family dinners at my aunt's house always feel like controlled chaos. The kind of scene where every sense is overloaded. The smell of garlic naan stacked in a basket, roasted chicken coming out of the oven. Kids darting between chairs, trying to sneak gulab jamun before anyone notices, and adults yelling. Half the time just to be heard over each other. The table is crowded. Plates passed hand to hand. Stories bouncing around the room like ping pong balls. Someone's laughing about a neighbor's cat. My aunt's stressing about traffic. My cousin's doing his usual bit, retelling something ordinary in a way that somehow makes everyone snort into their drinks. It's loud, messy, warm, the kind of scene where you sit back and think, this is exactly how family dinners are supposed to feel. And then the shift had happened so fast it almost doesn't register. My cousin's mid-joke eyes, crinkled shoulders shaking, and then he just stops. No sound. No laugh. Nothing at first, everyone chuckles, thinking he's doing some exaggerated gag classic him. But the second stretches and his face isn't playful. It's straining, his hand goes to his throat. His chair jerks back, that's when the panic hits the table like a dropped glass. My aunt screams his name. Someone shouts, "Are you okay?" Chairs scrape against the floor as people stand but don't move forward. Because what do you even do? My uncle is frozen, one hand out, but useless. The kids are crying, it's chaos in every direction. Noise without action. And in the middle of it, my brain does this weird slow-motion thing. One flash of memory clear as day. That random reel the guy in his kitchen hand pressed just below the ribs saying, "This is where you push for a second hesitation," pins me to the spot. What if I do it wrong? What if I hurt him? What if it doesn't work? My heart is hammering so hard it feels like it's drowning out the noise around me. But nobody else is moving. Nobody else knows what to do. So I step forward. I get behind him, wrap my arms around his middle. The way I half remember from the video. One fist thumb against his stomach just under the rib cage. My other hand wraps around it, locking it in place. I brace my legs, tighten my grip, and pull sharp, desperate thrusts upward just like. I saw everything else blurs. My aunt's screaming, someone's crying. Someone else is shouting instructions that don't make sense. But all I can focus on is the feel of my cousin's body jerking under my arms. The terrifying seconds ticking by where nothing happens. One thrust, 2, 3. Each one feels like an eternity. The thought clawing at my brain, it's not working, I'm too late. And then on the fourth, something dislodges. He coughs hard, and this horrible, beautiful sound of air rushing back into his lungs fills the room. He collapses forward on the table, gasping, red-faced, alive for a moment. Nobody moves. It's like the whole room has to reboot. Then the noise floods back. Crying, relief, shaky laughter. My aunt is clutching him. My uncle is thanking God out loud. Kids are staring at me like I just pulled off magic in me. My arms are still shaking. My heart is pounding out of my chest, and all I can think is that one stupid reel. That's the only reason he's alive right now? The room erupts, all that silence, all that tension suddenly shatters into noise. My aunt is crying and laughing at the same time, clutching my cousin like she's never letting go. My uncle's hands are shaking as he pats his son's back, murmuring prayers of thanks under his breath. The kids are wide-eyed, crying one second, giggling the next, as if their little brains can't decide whether to be terrified or relieved. My cousin is doubled over, coughing so hard his face is blotchy red. But every ragged breath he drags in sounds like the sweetest music any of us have ever heard. Someone starts laughing, half hysteria, half relief, and then everyone else joins in. It's this bizarre mix of tears and laughter, the kind of release that only comes after you've stared down the worst possible outcome and somehow walked away from it. Within minutes, the ambulance arrives. Lights flashing, paramedics rushing in with calm efficiency. They check my cousin, run through the basics, and finally nod. He's lucky, one of them says, glancing at me. Whoever stepped in probably saved his life. I can feel everyone's eyes on me. My hands are still trembling. My shirt damp with sweat I hadn't even noticed. And then comes the question. My aunt, voice shaky but full of raw gratitude, turns to me and asks, "How did you even know what to do?" I blink. My mouth opens before my brain catches up. Honestly, I say, Instagram, there's this beat of silence, the kind where everyone tries to figure out if I'm joking. And then it breaks, snorts of laughter, head shakes, half disbelieving chuckles. My cousin's still rasping through his sore throat. Wheezes, guess. Scrolling isn't such a waste after all. The whole room dissolves into a second round of laughter. This time, lighter, freer later, when the crowd thins and the adrenaline wears off. I finally make it home. The house feels strangely quiet after all that chaos. I sit on the edge of my bed, hands still restless, and replay everything in my head, his face going pale. The seconds ticking by my arms, pulling, and the reel. The stupid random reel I didn't even save surfacing in my brain like a lifeline. The weight of what if settles on me. What if I hadn't seen it? What if I'd hesitated a moment longer? What if I'd done nothing at all, and that's when it really hits me, of all places? Instagram, my endless scroll of memes and food I never cook, ended up making the difference. It wasn't a doctor, a class, a manual, just some stranger in their kitchen making a video I almost ignored. Turns out useless. Noise isn't always useless. Sometimes it saves a life. The shift didn't happen overnight, but I noticed it before. Instagram was just background noise now. Every time I scrolled, I caught myself saving things I never would have bothered with before, a video on how to do CPR, save a reel about fire safety tricks, save random life hacks I used to laugh at, like how to open a wine bottle without a corkscrew, suddenly felt like treasures to stash away. Of course I'd be lying. If I said my feed was all survival tips now, it's still 90% memes. Cats knocking stuff over and those dumb videos that keep me up at 2 in the morning, but mixed in with the chaos are those little nuggets that make me pause and think, okay, maybe this will matter one day, and that's the lesson I didn't expect, what I always dismissed as wasted time. Scrolling past jokes and recipes I'll never cook ended up being the very thing that mattered most when it counted. You never know which random piece of knowledge will stick or when you'll need it, one reel I almost ignored taught me something that saved a life, and that's enough to make me look at every scroll a little differently.